Okay, in this tutorial, we are going to learn how to create Django applications. So, in the last session, we learned about how to create the Django project. So, let's create a Django applications. To creating a Django applications, you have to go to the directory where your manage.py file is located. Because using that manage.py file, we can create our Django applications. So, the command is python manage.py file and start up and your application name. Let's say my application name is my app. Then press enter and type ls, and that you can see that is my app. So inside, let's say go to the my app folder. Then you can say there are few files are located inside the my app. That is admin.py file, apps.py file, init.py file, migration folder, model.py file, test.py file, and views.py file. Let's talk about one by one. Let's go open my VS Code, refresh it, and you can see the my app. So let's talk about the first is model.py file and why we use the model.py file, and that gives these files gives by default whenever you create an application using Django. Model.py file, as I told you in the beginning, that it used for the databases to create your tables, and army.py file used for to register your table which you created it in the model.py file, and test.py file is used for to test your code, like whenever you run your views.py file that some logic, then you want to test your code, you can test it in a test.py file. And views.py file is used for whenever you are creating your some logic and you want to display it in your web page, then you can create that logic inside the views.py file. Okay, and app.py file is basically nothing that to configure your applications. And and ini.py file, as I told you, that is used for to only to treat as agent directory. And migration folder is used for, so whenever you create some table inside the model.py file, and you must have to migrate our this those tables to insert that in our database. So whenever you migrate that table, that by default created inside the migration folder. All right. So after creating these applications, my app, then we must have to register in our settings.py here. And here inside the string, then here you can mention that my app. Then save it. After saving it, then we can do like say Python manage.py file. I think that is good in the directory. Python manage.py file run server. In this command, that it's showing that some unapplied migrations. Okay, that's nothing, but let run it. That 8000 port. As I told you that the Django 8 by default running 8000 port. Uh, that is showing that this is to work successfully configurations, and that is debugging it true. That means debug is true means that whenever you run through an error, so that error will treat in each and every lines. So that's why we do not set the debug equal true in a server. So in this case we set as a debug equal to false. All right. So next thing is, after creating that, it's saying that some 18 unupdated migrations. Okay, that means that is comes by default whenever you start the project first time. So we have to migrate Python 3 manage PI file, migrate from. This command will treat the migrate all the unupdated migration that Django provides the by default. Just type enter. It saying that successfully, yes, it successfully migrated. Okay, okay, okay. Then let's run the command again. Run server. Okay, it's saying that same that project is run successfully in 8.4. Let's refresh it, and it's saying the same. Okay. Then next thing is, we created in our registered that app in settings.py file. Then this is the using of creating the, whenever you must have to register your applications whenever you create your applications. Okay. So in the next session, we're going to talk about some how to configure and how to create the model in Django.